The following is a live special presentation of Retro Sports Network, home of the champions of the past, present, and or future. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the program for this 9th day of October 2022. My name is Ron Juckett, and this might be the last of our 1985 baseball series, as the St. Louis Cardinals are 27 outs away from sweeping the World Series from the Toronto Blue Jays. It's not like the Blue Jays have played a bad World Series in any stretch of the imagination. Game 1 went extra. Game 2 came right down to the end, and Toronto's bullpen is, the charter member of the International Brotherhood of Dumpster Fires in blue Game 3. And so the St. Louis Cardinals have a chance today to end the season with John Tudor on the hill. John Tudor is 3-0 in this postseason, and they haven't lost a start. This will be his 5th start of the postseason. He's 3-0. The Cardinals won Game 1 in Toronto in 11 innings. And so if the Blue Jays are to go on another day, they got to get past John Tudor. Now, the Blue Jays are where the California Angels were about a week ago. Down 3-0 in a best-of-7 series. California just kind of did it better by better, out by out, game by game, and they eventually forced a Game 7 of that series. And if Toronto can win today with Dave Stieb and win tomorrow probably with Jim Clancy, actually Tuesday at noon Eastern would be Game 5, then they would be able to bring the series back home. And Game 6 would be with Alexander, and Game 7 would be with Dave Stieb. It can be done. You can't look that far ahead. It's batter by batter, out by out. That's what you got to do. You don't think about tomorrow. You just got to win the day. The Cardinals, well, they're going to have John Tudor today. They're going to have probably Bob Forsch tomorrow. And if the series should somehow make itself back to Toronto, it's Andujar and Tudor to close it out. So the Cardinals are sitting really pretty right now. They just need to win 1 of the next 4 to win the World Series. And so with that, let's get to it, shall we? As Retro Sports Network presents the 1985 World Series. And this is Game 4 today from Busch Memorial Stadium in St. Louis, Missouri, between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Toronto Blue Jays. The Cardinals with a 3-0 lead in this best-of-7. And today's game is brought to you by DigitalDice.com, the best darn podcast on the web for your sports simulation and replay needs. Find us today on Spotify, Spreaker, iTunes, or wherever else fine podcasts are listed. And so it will be John Tudor on the hill for the Cardinals to pitch them to the World Series. Tudor is 3-0 in this postseason with an earned average of 195. He is 31 years old. Fastball tops out at 85 and is a ground ball plus pitcher. In Game 1 of this World Series, he went 7 2/3, allowed 3 hits, just a run, walked 4, and struck out 8. Overall in this postseason, 32 in the 3rd innings, 20 hits, 7 runs, all earned. A home run came in Game 7 against the Dodgers of the National League Championship Series. Walked 13 and struck out 20. And this will be the lineup he'll face in game number 4. Damaso Garcia leads off at second. Lloyd Mosby will bat second and play center. George Bell in left will bat third. Willie Upshaw actually hits lefties pretty well. He'll clean up at first base. Cecil Fielder was the other option. Remember, Cecil played in Game 1 and went over, so they'll go with Upshaw in the offense. Tony Fernandez will bat fifth at short. Garth Org, the one platoon change instead of Rance Mulliniks, he's at third, will bat sixth. Jesse Barfield drops all the way to seventh in the order and will play right field. Ernie Witt behind the plate, bats eighth. And Dave Stieb, trying to save the season for the Blue Jays, will bat ninth. And remember, the leash will be short. I can't answer PMs, by the way, during the game. It'll be Vince Coleman in left as we set the Cardinal defense. He's a 5 and an 8. Willie McGee an 8 and a 7 in center. Andy Van Slyke a 4 and a 9 in right. Terry Pendleton a 9 at third. Ozzie Smith a 9 at short. Tommy Herr a 5 at second. Jack Clark a 6 at first. Daryl Porter, who just might be the series MVP, a 5 and a 4 behind the plate. And John Tudor, making his fifth start of the postseason, is a 7 with a .955 fielding percentage. It is the lone day game of this series, Saturday, October 26, 1985. It is a warm 71 here in St. Louis. The wind blowing out to center at 11 miles an hour. Garcia, how you doing, Braves for Life? 378 on the postseason, no homers, and 4 RBI. And Tudor starts game 4 with a bunt. Gets it down, throws to her, covering 1 out. So here's Mosby, 366 and 6 RBI in the playoffs. Toronto's offense just has been, well, it's been good. Who's winning? Well, if the Cardinals win Game 4, they win the whole shooting match. It's a sweep, potential sweep. It's 3-0 St. Louis. Pitch to Mosby. Lloyd, ground ball to her. Tommy by the bag at second. Over to first. 2 out. So here's George Bell. 262, 2 homers, and 10 RBI. And all Tudor has to do is look halfway decent, I think. Get his 6 or 7 innings in, and trust that the International Brotherhood of Dumpster Fires isn't meeting in St. Louis anymore. Pitch to Bell. George swings. Chopper over the mound. Here is Ozzie in front of the bag. Bang banger to first, and that will retire the side. So, the Jays go in order. After half an inning, Toronto nothing, St. Louis coming up. And it's not like Dave Stieb has pitched poorly. In his 4 playoff starts, he's 2-1 with an earned run average of 208. Fastball tops out at 90. He's 28 and throws the ground ball. In their 3-2 loss in Game 1, Stieb went 8 innings, 119 pitches. He can go 135 if needed today. 6 hits, the 1 run it was earned, and that was the home run to Porter in the 8th. So overall, 30 in the 3rd innings, 18 hits, 7 runs, the 1 homer. He walked 14, struck out 22, and is 2-1. And so here's the Cardinal lineup with the righty Stieb on the mound. Van Slyke and Porter are back in. Vince Coleman leads off in left field. Willie McGee in center will bat second. Tommy Herr will go third, playing second. Jack Clark cleans up at first. Andy Van Slyke, not much of a hitter, but when he does, it is impactful. He will bat fifth in right field. Terry Pendleton at third will bat sixth. Ozzie Smith, the shortstop, will go seventh. Daryl Porter behind the plate. He might be the MVP when this is all said and done, especially if the Cardinals win today. And the House of Tudor, John Tudor, batting ninth, hoping to get that World Series to go along with everything else on his mantle. He'll bat ninth. So defensively for Toronto, George Bell a 5 and a 5 in left. Lloyd Mosby a 5 and a 4 in center. Happy Sunday, Scotty. Jesse Barfield an 8 and a 10 in right. Garth Org a 3 at third. Tony Fernandez an 8 at short. Damaso Garcia a 4 at second. Upshaw a 6 at first. Witt a 6 and a 3 behind the plate. And Steve is a 7 on the mound with a .946 fielding percentage. Coleman has done better in the World Series overall, 6 for 48 with 3 RBI with 9 strikeouts. He's not going to bunt. Steve delivers, ground ball up the box, throw to first, 1 out on a close play. Here's McGee. Willie, Toronto's pitched against Willie quite well. He is 3 for 13 with 2 runs scored and a homer and a stolen base. So not terrible. But not the blazingness that he was against the Dodgers. Pitch to McGee. Hard ground ball. A little number down to Garcia. Damaso throws to first. 2 out. Brings up her. 308 overall with 5 RBI. Brad told me, by the way, that this year's batting champions is the first time in the 21st century that both the American League and National League champion didn't have more than 10 homers. Single digits on the home runs. Pitch to her. Tommy got hit. And that's not what Steve needed. So her got him on his shoulder. And here's Jack Clark at 417, 2 homers, and 8 RBI. So Steve will have to collect himself here. 1 on, 2 out, bottom of the first. If we are with you for Game 5, it'll be Tuesday at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific. Pitch to, or throw to first, and her is back. They'll keep Tommy at first. Pitch to Clark, and Jack gets hit. And the crowd doesn't like that. This was still a time when you had high average contact guys. Yeah, Jamie, absolutely. So Steve is plunked 2 out for Van Slyke, who is hitting .217, 3 homers, and 8 RBI. But against the Jays, he has a homer and is 3 for 8. He's driven in 4. So Steve personally has kerplunked her and Clark. Pitch to Van Slyke. Got him. So that will retire the side. No runs, no hits, no errors. The Cardinals strand 2. We go to the second in Game 4. No score. So Upshaw, as you see in the split there in the bottom left, pretty much was a .275 hitter against lefties. And the Blue Jays, they can get runners on base. They just need to bring them home. .357 in the postseason, 2 homers and 4 RBI. Tudor starts the second. A high fly ball, left field. Back goes Coleman, and there is 1 out. So just as the Dodgers discovered in the National League Championship Series, stopping the house of Tudor, it's just not done. And if the Blue Jays are going to force a Game 5, they've got to do it. Tony Fernandez at .250 and 3 RBI in the postseason. Little chopper down to her, runs in, has a short throw, 2 out. For Garth Org, 4 for 19. He played Game 1 against Tudor. Has a homer and 2 RBI in the playoffs. Barfield on deck. Pitch from Tudor. Org, a high ground ball to third. Pendleton ranges over, and it's 6 up, 6 down. So the Jays go in order. We go to the bottom of the second, and Game 4, no score. So it'll be Pendleton, Smith, and Porter to face Steve. Steve threw 21 pitches in the first. Tudor threw 2, has pitched 20. Terry at 171, a homer and 3 RBI in the playoffs. And Pendleton laces this one up the middle for a base hit. So that'll bring up Ozzie Smith, 297. No homers, a triple, and 2 RBI. And the Cardinals hope to manufacture, like their crosstown corporate cousins, the Budweiser Clydesdales, who marched around the stadium before Game 4. Ozzie hits a little sharp one down to first. Upshaw going to just take it to the bag himself. Pendleton goes to second, 1 out. And so here is MVP candidate Daryl Porter. In the World Series, he is 5 for 7 with 2 homers and 2 RBI. So unless Tudor does something crazy like pitch a no-hitter, you would think that if the Cardinals win today, Porter's your man. And Porter was the MVP the last time the Cardinals won the World Series in '82. Remember when we beat it 82? It was Le Expo. So pitch to Porter. Daryl hits a fly ball to right. Barfield will make the catch. And there's 2 out. Pendleton tags and will go to third without a throw. And that'll bring up John Tudor, who was 2 for 13 with a triple in the playoffs. So 2 out, bottom of the second here. Steve delivers, and he got him. So the Cardinals do not score. They've left on 3. That might be important later on. No runs, a hit, no errors. We go to the third here at Busch. No score. So Barfield, they moved down to 7 in the lineup. 6 for 36 in the playoffs, 167, no homers, and 3 RBI. And if you were to look as to why Toronto is in the position they're in, no DH, and Barfield just can't hit. He struck out 11 times so far. Make it 12, gets away from Porter, down to Clark, 1 out. So here's Ernie Witt. Ernie has 3 home runs in the postseason. There's no way in purgatory you're going to use Steve Nicosia in an elimination game. Tudor winds and deals. Fly ball, left center. McGee runs over and will make the catch, 2 out. And so here is Dave Stieb. Stieb has the unfortunate fortune of trying to hit here. He went 0 for 2 in Game 1. But he did draw the beer league walk off of Tudor and struck out. And he strikes out. So in there at the knees, and it's 9 up, 9 down. Bottom of the third, no score. So top of the lineup for the Cardinals, Coleman, McGee, and Herr. Steve is opening 9, 37 pitches, 2 innings, 1 hit and 2 strikeouts. But the leash has to be short. Coleman squares, Witt picks it up, throws to Garcia, and there's 1 out. So Coleman, if the Cardinals win any of the next 4, no one is going to remember that Vince Coleman hit 120 in the playoffs. He's just going to have a ring. Here's Willie McGee. Willie's 0 for 1. Steve winds and deals, and McGee slaps that one over the mound for a single. So the Cardinals have a runner on, 1 out for Tommy Herr, who was hit by a pitch his first time up. Steve throws to first. McGee is back. And now you can start to run McGee. There he goes. Witt will throw down to Fernandez. And McGee has it stolen. So runner on second. 1 out and a 1-strike count to Tommy Herr. Steve from the stretch hits a ground ball to Upshaw. Steve goes to the bag, beats out her, but McGee goes to third. So runner on third, 2 out for Clark, who also was hit by a pitch. If the World Series ends today, we'll be with you Tuesday. I don't know what the heck we're going to do, but we'll figure out something. Pitch to Clark. There's a high ground ball. Steve off the mound towards first. Throws it to Upshaw, and that will retire the side. So the Cardinals have left on 4. And after 3, there's no score. So Tudor, 35 pitches, his opening 9 on 3 innings and 2 strikeouts. Garcia is 0 for 1. Tudor starts the 4th with a fly ball, right center field. McGee, even with the wind blowing out to right, makes a great diving catch. Laid out there and will take the boo-boo on the knees. So the wind now blowing hard out to right field at 19. Here's Mosby, who's 0 for 1. 74 degrees. This would have been Saturday, October 26th, a day game. Mosby ground ball right side, base hit. So that's the first hit off of Tudor. Van Slyke throws it back in. And then he'll bring up Bell, who's 0 for 1. Mosby dances around. Bell should be 2 here. Ozzie to her for 1. Tommy pivots and does not throw. How you doing, Matt? Well, the throw is late. So they force Mosby 2 out for Upshaw, who's 0 for 1. The Blue Jays have been in every game. You know, you talk about series where they are completely lopsided. And you might have heard me say maybe a 5-game sweep or a 6-game sweep. Where, okay, the other team got one in there. But there was never a question of who was going to win. Toronto has been in each and every game. And it would be a shame if this ended in 4. Pitch to Upshaw. And Willie lines this to left, and it's going to drop in front of Coleman. Bell will round second. Coleman will do what? What are we doing here? Try for the runner at third. Bell goes to third, and it's close, but not. And they got him! And they got him. He had a 4% chance of throwing him out, and he did. And just as Jerry Reed used to sing, when you're hot, you're hot. And when the Blue Jays case, when you're not, you're not. Coleman just threw the perfect ball. That was a wing and a prayer throw. And they got Bell going to third. So the Blue Jays get a couple hits and leave a runner on. We go to the bottom of the 4th, no score. My goodness. Here's Van Slyke. He's 0 for 1. He struck out. Pendleton and Smith here in the 4th. That was not a bad run by Bell at all. It was just that Coleman just threw the perfect strike. Pitch to Van Slyke. There's a slow bounder to second. Garcia over to Upshaw, and Andy beat it out. And it's these little things that St. Louis does so well. So here's Pendleton. He singled his first time up. Dennis Lamp is stirring in the Toronto pen. Throw to first, and Van Slyke is back and now can steal. So Whitey puts on the hit and run. Runner goes to throw down to Fernandez, and Van Slyke has it stolen. So a 2-2 count to Pendleton now. And Van Slyke, with nobody out, stands in scoring position. Yet, Game 6 of the 87 World Series at the Metrodome, of course. The place with the roof was the last day game. It would have made sense for the Saturday game to be the day game, but indoors, did it really matter? I mean, what was on ABC that was so important that you had bumped the World Series? But we wanted to give you a day game in the World Series. So the pitch to Pendleton. Terry rips this one into right. Van Slyke will round third, I'd imagine. Barfield has a howitzer of an arm, and Van Slyke does the smart thing and holds up. So nobody out. Runners on the corners for the Wizard, who is 0 for 1. And Lamp's starting to work with some purpose now. Steve from the set. Ozzie a ground ball to Garcia. This will score Van Slyke. Fernandez for 1. Tony's throw to first. Just never happened. So the Cardinals in the fourth go up 1-0. They force the runner at second, and here is Porter, who is 0 for 1. So Steve now needs the Blue Jays to get something off of for John Tudor. Good luck. Pitch to Porter. Bounder down to third, or might get 2 out of this. Only play is to first, and it's late. Porter is out, though, because Daryl doesn't have a heck of a lot of speed. So Tudor at the plate, and Ozzie's on second. And Ozzie's going to third. Witt throws down to Org, and it is not in time. So now the second run is 90 feet away. And Dave Steve just trying to hold on here. 1-0 St. Louis, 2 out, bottom of the fourth. The Cardinals 1 win away from the World Championship. Pitch to Tudor. Struck him out. Steve got him to chase a fastball. But the Cardinals score first on 2 hits and no errors. We go to the fifth here in St. Louis. 1-0 Cards. So Fernandez, Org, and Barfield to face Tudor here in the fifth. Tony is 0 for 1. Tudor starts the inning with a fly ball right center field. McGee, 1 out. So here's Org. Garth 0 for 1. High ground ball to Ozzie. Over to first. 2 out. And Tudor just seems to be... What a year. What an absolute year. He won 28 games on the replay. And then, sorry Scotty, beat the Dodgers 3 times in the NLCS. He threw a gem in Game 1 against the Blue Jays. Here's Barfield. He struck out his first time up. And Barfield rips this one down the line and left. That's extra bases. The Blue Jays need a bunch of that. Coleman picks it up, and Barfield is in the second standing. And so the broadcasters jinx, "You're welcome, Canada." So here's Ernie Witt. He's 0 for 1. 2 out double. That's not the way you remember it. The goats are being entertained. That's all that matters. Pitch to Witt. Barfield goes, and they got him. Tudor got the strikeout. And halfway home in Game 4 of the World Series, the Cardinals are 12 outs away. They lead the Jays 1-0. And I lost my mouse. I lost my mouse. Oh, there we go. Uh-oh. Oop. I don't know why it's running so slow. The lone run of the game came in the fourth. Ozzie Smith, a fielder's choice, to make it a 1-0. Dave Stieb has pitched well, 4-hitter through 4 on 73 pitches. But John Tudor, a 3-hitter through 5, has struck out 3, and he's done it on 58 pitches so far. So Stieb, again, why are we doing this? Wow. Has struck out 3 through 4 innings. Allowed 4 hits and just the 1 run. Coleman is 0 for 2. They're not going to play for the bunt now. We're not going to give it to him. Vince strikes out, and that's number 4 for Stieb. Here's McGee. Willie singled and stole a base his last time up, 1 for 2. Ground ball is short. Fernandez deep in the hole by third. A long throw over, and McGee is out. So Stieb doing his job. By the way, he would lead off to start the 6th. Although, I'm not sure that the Blue Jays have a better option. Here's Tommy Herr. He's 0 for 1. And he draws the walk. So Herr has good speed. Here's Clark. He's 0 for 1. Herr and Clark were hit in the first inning. But St. Louis couldn't do anything. No runs, 3 hits, no errors for the Jays. They've left on 2. St. Louis, a run on 4 hits, no errors, and they have left on 5. Throw to first. And Herr is back and is going to steal. So there goes Herr. The throw down to Garcia, and Tommy has it stolen. And so the Cardinals are just going to run. Unless Dave Stieb takes the T-Bird away. So 1 strike count to Clark. 2 out, bottom of the 5th. Jack strikes out. Stieb got him. And that will retire the side. No runs, no hits. The runner left on. After 5, 1-0 St. Louis. So Stieb, Garcia, and Mosby to face Tudor here in the 6th. Dave struck out his first time up. He'll stay in the ball game. Hits a ground ball to short. Ozzie's there. Throw to first. 1 out. So Garcia is 0 for 2. Tudor, 18 batters, 61 pitches. 5 1/3 innings. 3 hits and 3 strikeouts. It's a small crowd here watching the live stream, but a full house at Busch. Chopper to first. Clark on the multi-bounder. 2 out. And so here's Mosby. Lloyd is 1 for 2. Has one of the 3 Blue Jay hits. Got him! Tudor got him to swing and miss. And so for the Cardinals, they're 9 outs away. After 5 1/2, St. Louis 1, Toronto 0. So here's Van Slyke. Andy 1 for 2. It has singled, stolen a base, scored the only run of the ball game, and struck out. And if you are a fan of those 1960-era Dodger teams, you can kind of appreciate this effort. Steve will start the 6th with a fly ball to left. Bell coming in. 1 out. Vince Coleman, by the way, has not had a great postseason. But if the big difference is throwing out Bell earlier in the game, trying to advance to 3rd, is that the play that clinched the World Championship? Here's Pendleton. He's 2 for 2. Terry is singled twice. Steve delivers. Hard ground ball to Fernandez. Diving stop on the dirt. Throws to first and robs Pendleton of a single. So 2 out for Ozzie Smith, who is 0 for 2. He has the game's lone RBI and has stolen the base. He now has 2 in the postseason. Steve lines and deals, and there's a ground ball base hit up the middle. So that's only the 5th hit for the Cardinals. And so here is Porter. Daryl is 0 for 2. Steve throws to first. Ozzie's back. Ozzie's going to go. Witt throws down to Fernandez, and that is not in time. So the Cardinals have run. And it's a 1-strike count to Porter. And he walked him. Well, if you're going to walk the number 8 hitter, I think John Tudor beat you. Steve has struck out Tudor twice. 2 out, 2 on. Bottom to 6, 1-0. Cardinals lead. Pitch to Tudor. Little chopper over the mound. Fernandez has a good throw. Tudor's running, and they got him. Oh, that was closer than it needed to be, but... So the Cardinals have left on 8. After 6, it's the Cardinals 1, the Blue Jays 0. So here's Bell. George is 0 for 2. Line drive, foul, third base side. A goat from Western Washington State College made the catch. Hoxlitz and Golf 304 are Lena's followers, by the way. 1-2 the count to Bell. George swings into shallow left. Coleman running in. Makes the catch, 1 out. Here's Upshaw Willie, 1 for 2. Struck him out. That's 5 for Tudor. Got him swinging. And so here's Tony Fernandez. 0 for 2. 0 for 3 as Tudor struck him out. He has fan 6. Stretch time 1-0 Cardinals. Jamie says in the chat, feels like it could be 10-0 for the Jays, doesn't it? John Tudor is 6 outs away from being on so many rubber chicken banquet tours this winter that Colonel Sanders would get jealous. Coleman is 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Steve, who has pitched well in both of his games, he's given up a whopping 2 runs in this series. 6 innings today, 5 hits, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. I mean, Tudor, if he go at this point, you got to think he would be the MVP. which would make him the MVP of the regular season, the MVP of the NLCS, and the MVP of the World Series. Got to get there first, but for John Tudor, you got to go back to, Guidry in 78 to have the magical pitching season end in the championship. Coleman's 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Vince hits a little ground ball to short. Fernandez across the way, and Coleman is out. 1 out for McGee, who's 1 for 3 with a stolen base. It just goes to show just how good the Dodgers were. Although Toronto, they've never been out of a game. Every at-bat, unless the Cardinals score here, has been with that being either the go-ahead run or the tying run. McGee has a single, 1 for 3. Steve got him to swing and miss on a curve. So 2 out for Tommy Herr, who was hit by a pitch and walked and stole a base. By the way, Western Washington University yesterday swept in women's soccer, men's soccer, and women's volleyball in straight sets. Herr, line drive, Upshaw is there, and that will retire the side. So no runs, no hits, and no errors. John Tudor pitching like he's a brick wall. We go to the 8th, 1-0, St. Louis. So Org, Barfield, and Witt. And if anybody should reach, you imagine they'll pinch hit for Steve. Pitch to Org was 0 for 2. Fly ball, right field. Van Slyke in the corner. 1 out. So here's Barfield. He has doubled and struck out. So 1 for 2. Tudor. Ground ball to Ozzie. 2 out. So let's see what the computer does with Witt. So a lot of glum faces in the Blue Jay dugout. Clark, Van Slyke, and Pendleton for the Cardinals in the bottom of the 8th. Tudor deals. Got him! And St. Louis is 3 outs away. A fastball on the outside corner. Tudor has struck out 7. And after 7.5, 1-0 St. Louis. Ballot time, folks. Who's your MVP of this series? It'll be Clark, who's 0 for 2 with a strikeout. I don't know what more Dave Stieb could have done. I honestly don't. He starts the 8th with a walk to Clark. And Gary Lavelle will come in to face Van Slyke. Lavelle, all of his work, has to be Tudor, has come in this series. 2 2/3, 2 hits, the home run, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. Little pinch hit for Van Slyke. Gary, 36 years old, fastball at 89, and a ground ball plus pitcher. So Van Slyke will get a big hand here. And Cesar Cedeno, who was 1 for 4 in this postseason, with 2 walks and a strikeout, comes to the plate. Tudor has only thrown 93 pitches. And in the season that he has owned, he might have pitched his best game in his last game. 330 innings of meaningful baseball on his arm. Cedeno hits a ground ball, left side base hit. Excuse me. So first and second, and nobody out for Pendleton, who was 2 for 3. He has singled twice. Lavelle deals. Ground ball to Fernandez. They might get two here. Garcia for one, Upshaw for two. And so they get the 6-4-3, but here's Ozzie. And if he should reach here, that would make a big insurance run. It will be the pitcher's spot. Garcia and Mosby separate the Cardinals from a championship. Lavelle deals. The Wizard hits a single to left. That second run is beyond huge. Clark will score, and it's 2-0 St. Louis. And so Daryl Porter gets a huge hand. Landrum, 3 for 14 with a solo homer. 2-0 Cardinals. 2 out, bottom of the 8th. They need 3 more outs. Pitch to Landrum. He walked. And there is no way in purgatory you are going to pinch hit for John Tudor here. So first and second, 2 out. Lavelle deals, Tudor strikes out, but the damage is done. The Cardinals get a run on 2 hits and no errors. And as the Clydesdales start to encircle Busch Stadium, oh, I screwed that one up, didn't I? The 8-0, a 5, and a 7 behind the plate, and I put him in the wrong spot in the lineup. So Daniel goes out to play right field. It will not be Lavelle. Tudor has thrown 40 1/3 innings in this postseason and allowed 23 hits. Jeff Burrows will pinch hit. He is 2 for 4 in the playoffs. Everyone standing. Tudor starts the 9th. Ground ball to her. 1 out. So Tudor, 27 batters in 95 pitches. 8 1/3 innings of 3-hit ball and 7 strikeouts. 2-7-0 for St. Louis. They've left on 10. And as Jamie said, it feels like it's a 10-0 game, doesn't it? Garcia is 0 for 3. Tudor winds and deals. Fly ball to Cedeno. This might be an adventure. 2 out. They're 1 out away. And it's Lloyd Mosby, who is 1 for 3 with a strikeout. The executive producer of Retro Sports Network is Ron Juckett. The director of Retro Sports Network is Emily Juckett. A fee has been provided by Retro Sports Network to the Crew Coffee Shop of downtown Burlington. You're not just drinking, you're drinking the best caffeine. And so, unless something really weird happens in the next minute or so, this is it. This is the end of year 4. Tudor winds and deals. Ground ball to Ozzie. He's going to go to first. And it is not in time. So the tying run is at the plate. Any broadcast or reproduction of this or any of our 1,000 plus streams on Retro Sports Network are strictly forbidden without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. Bell can tie this in a hurry, by the way. He's 0 for 3. Tudor. Got him! It's over! They swept it! Bell looks at strike 3. Tudor and Diego jump around. Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! And for St. Louis in 1985, that's a winner! That's a sweep! I did not expect that. Not in a million years. The St. Louis Cardinals have swept the Toronto Blue Jays. 2 runs, 7 hits, no errors. They left on 10. The Blue Jays, no runs, 4 hits, and no errors. What a season. And John Tudor, 9 innings of 4-hit ball. He struck out 8. He had minus stuff today, gang. Dave Stieb has thrown 2 great games in the World Series. He gave up a whopping 3 runs and got no support. Lavelle, not much you can say. And there really isn't that much more that you can say. What a replay. And so this ends our 4th season of this. We'll be back in January, the good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, for yet another replay. Our 5th year here on Retro Sports Network and our 5th chase of the championship. I hope that you guys have enjoyed watching these as much as I've enjoyed sharing it with you. And I suppose it's a bit of poetic justice that the St. Louis Cardinals, who really should have won the World Series in 1985, get their just desserts here. Never expected this to be a sweep, but that's the great thing about baseball is you kind of expect the unexpected. And so for the last time in this replay, I'm Ron Juckett. Thank you so much for watching. We'll talk to you. We'll do something this week. But for now, so long, everybody. And what you... St. Louis has has longed to see. They are the 1985 World Champions. We'll talk to you Tuesday for something else. So long, everybody.